Dear students, let's begin with the part 2 of your supplementary 2, A Shot in the Dark, written by Saki. Page number 59, right hand side, first paragraph. Sletherby waved goodbye to his friend, pulled up the window and turned his attention to the magazine lying on his lap. He had scarcely glanced at a couple of pages, however, when a smothered curse caused him to glance hastily at the only other occupant of the carriage. So now the train started moving and he waved goodbye to his friend and he pulled up the window and he was having a magazine lying on his lap and he was going through the pages of the magazine. By the time he was hearing a smothered curse. What is curse? Curse here refers to giving some words like smothered curse means a kind of complaining or grumbling words. Caused him to glance hastily at the only other occupant of the carriage. So since he started hearing those curse words, he started to look at the occupant, only other occupant of the carriage. In that carriage, he was the only other occupant who was accompanying Mr. Philip Sletherby. His travelling companion was a young man of about 22, with dark hair, fresh complexion, and the blend of smartness and disarray that marks the costume of a nut who was bound on a rustic holiday. So how was his travelling companion? The looks of his travelling companion is explained here. His travelling companion is none other than the one who was telling some smothered curse. He was a young man of about age 22 with dark hair. His hair was dark and he had a fresh complexion and the blend of smartness and disarray that marks the costume of a nut. He was wearing untidy. He was not looking neat. Disarray that marks the costume of a nut. Nut here refers to a crazy man or like a mental. So those people are called as nut. Okay. Disarray that marks the costume of a nut who is bound on a rustic holiday. Rustic holiday means one who is going to a holiday to some village side. So that is called as rustic holiday. So now Philip Sletherby is looking at the man who is accompanying him and the appearances of the man is explained here. He was engaged in searching furiously and ineffectually for some elusive or non-existent object. From time to time he dug a sixpenny bit out of a waistcoat pocket and stared at it ruefully, then recommenced the futile searching operation. So what was that man doing is, he was searching something furiously for some elusive or non-existent object. They are saying it as non-existent object. From time to time he dug a sixpenny. Sixpenny means coin, referring to coin, money. That is called as penny. Okay. So he had 6 penny and from time to time he was digging out that 6 penny from his waistcoat pocket and stared at it ruefully. Ruefully means sorrowfully he is looking at that 6 penny and again he started to search the thing which he was searching already. A cigarette case, matchbox, latchkey, silver pencil case and railway ticket were turned out onto the seat beside him, but none of these articles seemed to afford him satisfaction. So these were the things beside him, but these things did not give him any kind of satisfaction. Like he was searching some other thing other than this. He cursed again rather louder than before. The vigorous pantomime did not draw forth any remark from Sletherby, who resumed his scrutiny of the magazine. So he started cursing again. He is taking a sixpenny out. He is looking at that money and again he is putting inside and he is looking at the things which was beside him, the cigarette case, matchbox, but these things did not give him satisfaction and again he started cursing. The vigorous pantomime. Pantomime means exaggerated behavior. This behavior did not make any change with Mr. Philip Sletherby. He was just reading his magazine again. So this was happening in the railway carriage. I say, exclaimed a young voice presently, didn't I hear you say you were going down to stay with Mrs. Solpeniago at Brill Manor? What a coincidence. My mater, you know, I'm coming on there on Monday evening, so we shall meet. I'm quite a stranger, haven't seen the mater for 6 months at least. So that voice started speaking. Which voice? The voice which was giving some smothering curse in the railway carriage. That voice, that young man started speaking to Mr. Sletherby that I heard that you were going to meet Mrs. Solpenyago. Is that true? It's a very big coincidence because she is my Meta. Meta here refers to mother. And he also added that he was going there on Monday, so they should meet there on Monday. And he was telling that he himself hadn't seen his mother for 6 months. I was away yachting last time she was in town. I'm Bertie, the second son. I say it's an awfully lucky coincidence that I should run across someone who knows the mater just at this particular moment. I've done a damn awkward thing. So he was introducing himself to Mr. Slatherby that he was Bertie, the second son of Mrs. Salpenyago, whom Mr. Slatherby was going to meet. And he was telling that he has done a damn awkward thing and he feels himself lucky to meet a person whom his mother knows at that place. You have lost something, haven't you? Said Slatherby. So, when Slatherby was watching Bertie searching something, he asked to him if he had lost anything. Not exactly, but left behind, which is almost as bad, just as inconvenient anyway. I've come away without my sovereign purse with 4 quid in it, all my worldly wealth for the moment. It was in my pocket all right, just before I was starting, and then I wanted to seal a letter, and the sovereign purse happens to have my crest on it, so I whipped it out to stamp the seal with, and like a double-distilled idiot, I must have left it on the table. For answering the question of Slatherby, Bertie was saying that he had left behind his sovereign purse in which he had 4 quid, which he had planned to spend the money. It was in my pocket all right just before I was starting, and then I wanted to steal a letter, and the sovereign purse happens to have my crest on it. So I whipped it out to stamp the seal with, and like a double distilled idiot I must have left it on the table. So he was telling that he had a sovereign purse in his pocket, and when he wanted to seal the letter, he took a sovereign purse and kept it out, which had a crest on it. The crest is that greyhound or the demi-lion. Okay, so he missed it on the table itself like a double distilled idiot. Double distilled idiot refers to a foolish man. Foolish man is called a double distilled idiot. So he is saying that I must have left it on the table, and now I am searching for that sovereign purse. I had some silver loose in my pocket, but after I had paid for a taxi and my ticket, I had only got this forlorn little sixpence left. I'm stopping at a little country inn near Broadway for 3 days fishing. Not a soul knows me there. And my weekend bill and tips and cab to and from the station and my ticket onto Brill, that will mount up to 2 or 3 quid, won't it? If you wouldn't mind lending me £2.10 or 3 for preference, I shall be awfully obliged. It will pull me out of no end of a hole. So Bertie started speaking to Slatherby that he had some silver loose here refers to loose coins in his pocket. Okay, he had some sixpence left. Forlorn little sixpence left. That is after paying for the taxi and after getting his ticket, he is now only having just this abandoned forlorn refers to abandoned little sixpence. I'm stopping at a little country inn near Broadway for 3 days. So he is telling that he is stopping in country inn. Country inn refers to a village place near Broadway. Broadway is a place. He is going there for fishing, and not a soul knows me there. That means no person knows him in Broadway. And my weekend bill and tips and cab to and from the station and my ticket onto bill, that will mount up to 2 or 3 quid, won't it? So he's calculating all the expenses that he is going to make there, and he is calculating and saying that he will be spending some 2 or 3 quid. And he is also asking help from Mr. Philip Slatherby that if you would mind lending me £2.10 or 3 for preference. He is asking to lend him something, that is £2.10 or 3. He is asking money from him. And he is also telling that I shall be awfully obliged. It will pull me out of no end of a hole. No end of a hole means something is better than nothing. I'll be having something in my hand and I'll be hopeful. He is asking to Mr. Philip Slatherby because with the hope that he is a friend of his mater. He is thinking that Philip Slatherby is a friend of his mother, and anyway they are going to meet again on Monday, and he is planning that he could return the amount to him. So that is why he is asking to Philip Slatherby. I think I can manage that, said Slitherby after a moment's hesitation. So, when Bertie was asking help from Slitherby replied that I think I can manage that, I can help you. But he did not answer wholeheartedly, he was answering only with after a moment's hesitation. Thanks awfully, it's jolly good for you. What a lucky thing for me that I should have chanced across one of the Mater's friends. It will be a lesson to me not to leave my exchequer lying about anywhere when it ought to be in my pocket. I suppose the moral of the whole thing is don't try and convert things to purposes for which they weren't intended. Still, when a sovereign purse has your crest on it. So, Bertie was in need of help by that time. So, when Slitherby accepted to help after a moment's hesitation, Bertie thanked him and he was telling that I feel lucky now because I have done something awkward now, but I've got a chance to meet my Mater's friend. Mater's friend here refers to mother's friend at this point. So this will be a good lesson for me. Hereafter I won't leave my exchequer. Exchequer means purse. I won't leave my exchequer anywhere and I won't change things which aren't intended. Still, when a sovereign purse has your crest on it. He was also telling that his purse has a crest. Crest here refers to a comb or tuft of feathers, fur or skin on the head of a bird or other animal. They had the print of their crest on the purse. So he had the print of the crest on the purse. He missed his purse. So he is realizing his mistake and he was telling Philip Slitherby that he won't repeat the mistake again. Part 3 will be continued in the next video. Thank you.